Welcome to Your Business, Your Life with Matt DeFrancesco, your personal financial technician. Whether you've had years of success in your business or are just starting out, HighLift Financial can help you create a vision for your business, life, and family, and align these for generational wealth. So as they say, what happens in your life affects your business. And now, on to the show. Well, hello and welcome to Your Business, Your Life with me, Matt DeFrancesco, your host. One of the big challenges in the industry these days is, finding and keeping good technicians. And I think also one of the things that is really necessary is out there of having really good technical education and innovation for technicians. Well, I got Jason Bartanen on, and he's a distinguished figure in the collision repair industry. He's got over 2 decades of experience focusing on technical education and innovation. Grew up in a family body shop, and through that time has developed a deep passion for the field early on. So he had 23 years at iCar, which saw significant contributions in technical writing, curriculum development, fostering relationships with OEMs. And now as the founder of Collision Pro Assist, and Jason's now spearheading efforts to support technicians through virtual training, live coaching, and address OEM procedures via his innovative Back Bay subscription model, which I'm really excited to talk to him more about. We had a pre-call beforehand, and I'm really fascinated and would really love to be able to help to contribute to that. So, and his dedication is centered around providing precise, vetted information to the future professionals of the collision industry. So, hey, Jason, welcome to Your Business, Your Life.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
No problem. I think it's really exciting, especially when somebody kind of embarks on a new endeavor that's really not been done out there. That's why I'm really excited to talk to you about, where you're going now, especially with Collision Pro Assist. But before we go there, I know, I kind of briefly talked about your long and influential journey in the collision repair space. What I wanted to ask you is what inspired you to launch Collision Pro Assist, and how does it differ from any of your previous work that you've done?
It's really a culmination, I think, of not only my entire career, but I think my life as well. As you mentioned, I've been around the collision repair industry my entire life. My grandfather opened a body shop in Ishpeming, Michigan in 1939. Still run today by my cousins, and I've got technician blood in me, if you will. And I've been afforded a lot of opportunities. I had a great career at iCar and a great career at Collision Hub. And now I've got an opportunity to do something which I think is completely unique and support technicians better. I've always been a strong believer in the iCar vision of, every person having the knowledge and skill and complete safe and quality repairs. And, iCar being a large organization, with the curriculum that we developed and the programs we put together, we're kind of a macro version of the industry, that high level kind of more general kind of repair, how-tos and some of the not quite basic, but some basic content, still a little bit more advanced, but on a much broader level. Collision Hub kind of allowed me to focus more at the shop level and work more with individual shops and individual technicians. And now Collision Pro Assist kind of takes the next step and really allows me to focus directly on the technicians and giving them tools to make their lives better, both inside the shop and outside the shop. We don't do a very good job, I don't think, in the industry of really supporting our technicians. Right. The men and women that fix cars every day, the reason that I've had a career and the reason that a lot of us have had careers are because of those men and women that fix cars every day. But yet they're kind of the most underserved population in the industry. They don't go to the industry events. They don't get to hear, the fantastic speakers and go to a lot of the seminars and presentations that I've been afforded to. And they don't get to go to the nice receptions that you and I have been to, and nice dinners, and listen to good keynote speakers. They're back home working, and that's kind of been their life. And we buy them a tool every now and again, and we have maybe lunch catered in once in a while, and we kind of give ourselves a pat on the back and go on our merry way. But oftentimes those technicians never really get the information on how to use that tool or equipment or product, properly. They don't have access to go and listen to these OEMs speak at industry events. Right. And so that information, all that great information, never makes its way to the technician, never makes its way to the shop floor. So when they have a problem with something, they kind of, have to, guess on their own. Maybe they turn to a peer in the stall next to them, or maybe they turn to, to social media for an answer and then get beat up out there. And again, we don't treat them very well. And I wanted to do something that was technician focused, something that's really designed for them, not designed for how to write better estimates or how to close more or how to negotiate or how to handle supplements or whatever, but how to use the tools and equipment and products on the vehicle that I've got in front of me. I mentioned the iCar vision
Right.
of complete safe quality repairs, and one of the parts of a former iCar vision was relevant to their position. And regarding relevant to their position, if I'm a technician working on a Ford Explorer with car liner measuring equipment and Pro Spot welding equipment and 3M adhesives and my knowledge and skills that I need to perform my job are different than someone using Chief equipment and Lord Fuser adhesives and a Miller machine. So I really wanted to really tailor offerings to the individual technician, and that's what I'm doing on the Collision Pro Assist side with my OEM welding validation and coaching program, where we're using that technician's welder and following an OEM procedure for the vehicle they're working on, and the material we're using is material off of the vehicle that they're working on. So again, it's really tailored to that individual car. And the same thing with Back Bay, which I know we're going to talk a little bit more
We're
about,
going to
but
talk about that too. Yeah.
Back Bay itself too is again, what tools, products, equipment am I using to repair this vehicle? What questions do I have about that? And when I need help, where do I turn to? And again, so often we turn to a person in the stall next to us or again online. And what I've done is I've assembled and am continuing to grow a team of subject matter experts from those tool, equipment, product manufacturers, vehicle manufacturers that are waiting kind of virtually in the back bay, if you will, to help technicians when they need those answers.
No, I can really appreciate that, Jason. It's interesting. I think you're right about that. The technicians don't get a lot of they don't get the education. I know there's some more progressive shop owners bring some of their technicians to the shop,
Yeah.
but for the most part, it's not true. And I don't know if you were aware of this. The Texas Auto Body Show in September, for the first time, is going to be offering classes in Spanish
Oh,
for
cool.
technicians. Okay. And that's something that's really revolutionary out there. So I think maybe the tide's turning and maybe you're helping to be able to do that. But I think the more resources that, technicians have, it's going to make their jobs a lot easier. And especially even shop owners, you're going to see much better processes, fuller cycling of cars. I think it's all going to be a good thing.
Yeah, and the tool and equipment makers themselves, right? Because how often does a owner or manager, they buy a piece of equipment, bring it to the shop, that technician doesn't get the proper training on it. They go, this thing doesn't work, sits in the corner, doesn't do any. The shop's got money invested. The tool equipment manufacturer's now got a bad taste in the technician's mouth because their equipment doesn't work.
Right.
And the overwhelming majority of the time is because they just don't know exactly how to use that equipment or that product, or maybe their prep is wrong or whatever. It's not anyone's fault. It's just the way we've always done things, and I don't want to change that.
Oh, and I think that's great. So I do want to talk about the Back Bay program now because it sounds like a unique community of technicians. And so explain a little bit about how that works and then how you're getting content out to these technicians.
When I was at iCar, I was part of the Repairability Technical Support Initiative and the Ask iCar initiative, which is a resource that iCar offers to technicians and shops when they've got a question on, is there a sectioning procedure, or what are the inspection requirements following a collision, or whatever type of technical question that they might have. That information is all posted on the RTS website. Uh, when I went to Collision Hub, we started offering a service called Pick a Tech, which allowed technicians or again owners, managers to actually text us in questions, send us photos, send us videos. We might do some phone calls one-on-one and try to answer their questions and have a little bit more conversational than the Ask iCars, ask a question, get an answer. Now I've got a little bit more of a conversation going on.
Right.
And I've taken that Ask iCar and that Pick a Tech model. I've kind of reimagined it. Both of those services are fantastic, but it's often a kind of a one-on-one situation, right? Although you ask me a question, I give you an answer, and we both kind of go on our way. iCar does post this on their website, so you can go back and look at the previous inquiries that have been submitted. But for the most part, like the masses don't get to see the answers to the questions or even know what the question was. But chances are there's probably, 100, 1,000, maybe more technicians that have that same question on that particular application. And so what I've taken the Pick a Tech concept and reimagined it and launched it into a members only Discord server called Back Bay.
Okay.
And now it's more of a community. I'm not going to have technicians asking and answering questions like an old forum might, where again, you're still going to get, some inaccurate information, I think,
Right,
at
right.
best. Instead, you're going to get myself, and if I can't find the answer, then we can turn to our subject matter experts from those tool, equipment, vehicle manufacturers. It's a tier membership program, so I've got different levels of access based on monthly subscription fees. So for my premier access, it includes all the different channels. It includes all the conversation pieces where again you can ask me questions, ask, post questions for those tool equipment manufacturers that are in the server, and get responses. And again, there's also going to be an area for tech to tech to kind of answer, to have some more conversation, kind of talking amongst each other, and just really connecting technicians and providing a support platform for them where they can ask questions and not be afraid to get beat up. Again,
Yeah,
they go online and ask a question, and we all know what happens when you do something like that. And I'm not going to tolerate that. That's not what this is for. This is
right.
really designed to support one another and kind of lift each other up and help make all our lives a little bit better. And how I kind of landed on this, so again, throughout my career, again, with iCar, with Collision Hub, 25, 20, close to 30 years now in the industry. I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of technical experts in the industry from, 3M and ProSpot and Miller and Carline and so I've got this whole library of technical experts that are out there that when I can't find an answer to something, I can lean on them. I can send them a text. I can pick up the phone and call them and say like, "Hey, I'm working on this. Can you help me out?" Technicians don't have that opportunity. They're in their stall. They don't have anybody they can turn to again aside from the community. And so what I wanted to do was connect those technicians directly with the people that build the equipment and train on the products and help write the OEM procedures so that when I have a question on my welding machine that I'm working on, I don't call my local paint jobber and ask what I should do on it. I can call the person that built the equipment that has the training experts on it. And so I've started adding a bunch of industry contacts to the database or to the server. That's been met with overwhelming support. I knew that I would have some support out there, but everybody I've talked to, they've kind of taken a similar journey to me. And
Mhm.
I want to also kind of build that journey for the next group of technicians. So,
Right.
we've got technicians that now work for these tool equipment manufacturers and train on the equipment. And so they know the journey that they took and they know the struggles that a technician faces. And now they can help a former version of themselves, if you will, get the answers from them as an expert in that area and make sure that that tool is being used properly and that that product is being applied properly and that the repair doesn't fail because of poor preparation, because I was able to ask a question that got me the right answer. And that is what makes Back Bay unique to anything that's out there is, again, that direct connection between the tool, equipment, product makers, and the technician, and even the OEs. Again, I've got some OEs that are in there already, and I'm adding more on a regular basis and trying to get some more meetings set up with them.
Good.
And everyone's been incredibly supportive and want to get involved. To the point where I've developed a new program because I had some equipment makers say like, "Hey, I want to advertise in here,"
Right.
and I said, "Well, I don't want to do traditional kind of advertising in here. Instead, what I want you to do is kind of adopt a technician almost and sponsor a technician.
Oh,
And so instead of taking those marketing dollars and applying it to a quarter page ad or a full page ad or whatever, now take that money and give technicians access to Back Bay. And now you've got a technician that's in there and learning, and it was because that you did that. And then you've got a technician that's using your tools, your product equipment. You can get real life feedback from them on what works, what doesn't, what are the challenges they have, so that they can then take that information and refine their processes and their tools and equipment, and again, just kind of serve the greater good.
yeah. And I was going to ask you about that because I was wondering about being a subscription service, how that was going to be structured. Is you expecting the technicians to pay for it? Are you expecting the shop owners to pay for it? But I think having that sponsorship program makes that vendor vested into
Yeah.
not only just the information, but also into the technicians.
Yep. Yeah, I envision, there's certainly going to be a handful of technicians that are going to subscribe. I've
Okay.
got some technicians subscribing already. Obviously, I would love it if shops would support their technicians. Again, give them another tool, another resource to be successful. It's their business. It's a business investment. The Back Bay Passport program allows them to buy a 1 year subscription for their technician at a reduced price to get all the access to the premier features. And again, it's an investment in your technician. And you talked early on about, the technician attraction and technician turnover. I think giving them tools and resources and supporting their career is one way to keep them in your shop. People are still going to go down the street for 25 cents an hour more. I get that.
Yeah.
But if you are doing a better job of supporting your technicians in something that's fairly cost effective and can give them answers to their questions when they need them,
Yeah.
and make sure that that expensive tool that you bought is being used properly and it's not sitting collecting dust. Now you as a shop owner have a better ROI on that as well. And then again, the Back Bay Passport program where tool equipment organizations can sponsor technicians is great. And then I've also talked to some tool equipment makers that are going to include Back Bay as part of a equipment sale. So you buy a new
Oh,
welder from this equipment and you get access to Back Bay. So a lot of
great.
different avenues to get in there. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a combination of people how they're going to get in there.
That's awesome. I think that's great. And I think, again, it's going to be an important tool. Now, I know you've talked about just from the technical end that there's information on Back
Yeah.
Bay, but we also talked about just some kind of real life things that
Yeah.
education that most technicians don't get, like financial literacy, those type of things. And again, being in financial services, that's something I'm very passionate about.
Yep.
What do you see are some of the biggest gaps that technicians have regarding financial literacy? And how do you think the industry can better support techs in building financial stability for themselves? And maybe not just more pay, because, the
Right.
grass can always be greener. Sometimes
Yeah.
you could be making really good money, but, the environment that you live in, need for advancement, those type of things aren't good. So, where are some of the gaps?
Yeah, we've got a lot of technicians that work for small independent facilities,
Right.
and a lot of those individuals don't have access to a retirement plan or 401k plan, or maybe not even health insurance. And, they're not really thinking about retirement, but I want to give them some tools that can help them. How do I start a Roth IRA? How
Right.
do I start investing if I want to get into the stock market, do a little bit of trading? Like, how do I do that? And again, I don't know how to do that. That's not my area of expertise, but by connecting with people like yourself, and other organizations and just providing avenues to articles and features and information that can at least get them started on their journey. And then again, they can come in there and ask questions. And if you're in there and someone's got a question that maybe you can support, we've done a better job now of supporting that technician. And I want to do things, how to, buying your first house or your next house, or setting up a 529 plan for your kids' college future, or whatever it is. And I even added, based on some conversation that we're going on in the Discord channel and online, a mental health channel,
That's
connect
great.
technicians with mental health resources, nutrition, fitness. I want this to be an overarching kind of global thing and support them both inside the shop and outside the shop. And again, I recognize that, some technicians may not be interested in that. That's fine. They don't have to go to those channels. And,
Right.
ultimately, if enough people say, like, you know what, we don't care about this, then we'll get rid of it. I want this to be curated by the technicians. I want them to give me information on what features do they want to see in Back Bay that aren't there today. Even regarding training, we had a conversation in there. We have a wish list in there that we're kind of focusing on training. And I had a technician say, like, hey, I really need some information on glute pulling. Well, if I want to get glute pulling training today, I can go do some travel and get a class, or maybe in September or November or next February, Kiko or Cam Auto is going to be in my area and they're doing a demonstration at a local jobber.
Right.
Like, that's not what I need. I want to know now, right? Like, I want to start repairing things now. Well, Kiko's in Back Bay, Cam Auto's in Back Bay, Sticky Kikogu's in Back Bay. So we've got those connections in there. And I think our first like live kind of training event is probably gonna be around glue pulling. And now
Oh,
I can have a technician ask Chris White and ask Charles, like, hey, I'm having troubles with this, is it the glue too cold? Is it too hot? And now we've got those experts again teaching the technicians on a much larger scale. And again, I want it to be curated by the technicians because this is designed for them.
right.
This I'm facilitating it. I've got an idea of what I think that they need, but
Huh?
I'm not out in the shop every day with them, so I don't know if I think I'm pretty close to the mark, but there's a few
Right.
areas that I'm sure people could add stuff. I've had technicians go like, "Hey, we don't have enough PPE information in Back Bay." Well, guess what? We've got a PPE channel now, and I've got some fit testing information in there, and I'm just going to continue to keep adding resources, and even things like I've attended in the past and spoken at an event in the past called Great Designs in Steel.
Right.
Fantastic event put on by the vehicle manufacturers and a number of the American Iron Steel Institute, and a lot of steel manufacturers are in there, and very high level kind of doc PhD level charts and graphics and criteria and testing. But in every one of those presentations, there's a tidbit in there like, oh, this is something that I can apply in a collision repair world. And now I've got that information. I'm going to assemble, information on that. And just share information and just try to help guide these technicians and again make their lives a little bit easier.
Right. And it's interesting because so I typically work with shop owners, and one of the sayings I always have, and I actually stole this from Mike Anderson, was when you're looking to plan your succession, you need to start it from day one. And I think technicians need to start looking at all these different areas. Like you said, not just your technical knowledge, but your financial, your health and nutrition, because they all tie together. Okay.
Yeah,
And you could be the most technically sound technician in the world, but if you don't have your health, I mean, it's all for naught. Okay. If
sure.
you don't have, your financial house in order, it's all for naught. So I think it's really good that you're allowing these other avenues. And it's funny, you're seeing it in the insurance industry. Like, I've got this life insurance policy and they're constantly offering, hey, we've got this free test. It's $1,000, but it's part of your policy and, blood work and all
Yeah,
these things are really promoting healthy lifestyles because
yeah,
why? It benefits them and it
yeah,
benefits you.
yeah.
So, no, I think it's really good to offer all of those things.
I speak every year at Northwest Wisconsin Technical College here in Green Bay, welcoming
Yeah.
their first year students, just kind of, sharing my journey with them and kind of offering, my perspective on things. And I'll ask, what are your goals, right? And like half the students are like, I want to own a shop someday. Which business classes are you taking right now? Which math class are you taking? What communication class are you taking? Like, I don't like that stuff. You're not going to be successful as a business owner someday if you don't have those resources. And a lot of those technicians, a lot of those graduates from, whether it's 2 years ago or 20 years ago, they didn't get the training on that. They don't have the information on that. So again, I want to give them those tools and connect them with the right people to help them know, like, how do I start a business? What do I have to go through? What are the different steps? And provide that information for them. And again, they could go out and do it on their own and spend hours and hours and hours trying to get started from zero. But if we can point them in the right direction and give them some tools, and then they can start formulating a plan and an idea, and then really go like, okay, this is where I need to focus on. This is who I need to talk to. I need to talk to a financial planner. I need to talk to, whatever it is. I want to get them in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's what you just said is an avenue because back like 2 years ago, consolidation was huge. I mean, we had these big private equity firms that it didn't matter where you were, they were buying shops. Well, guess what? Now, because they work on this hub and spoke principle, so they'll look at a market and then we're going to go here and then we're going to go this far out. And once they saturate that, they're done with that area. So that's drying up. And so now here you got 60% of owners who are looking to transition in the next 5 years, or 60% of them between 55 and 65. And they don't know what options are. And some of them run very successful shops. I'm just one of my clients in the process of doing a transition with his key guy. Okay. And the key guy has already bought in about 25% of the shop. And then slowly we're going to start to acquire shares. And there's a lot of ways that we can do that.
Sure.
And that's a lot of what I do. I've got
Yep.
another shop owner, young guy up in Minnesota. He's really just starting out, but I'm helping him to build value in the shop. And eventually, his long term goal with the vision that we've kind of created is that, he wants to buy multiple shops and have a total business value of about $10 million. He can
Yeah.
live a really nice lifestyle doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, without knowing what the possibilities are, and then knowing, okay, so I want to be a shop owner. How do I go about doing this?
Yeah.
Having somebody do that. And that's a lot of what I do is
Yeah.
again, helping the transition planning, not just on the owner end, but also the technician who wants to buy into shops. How do we structure these properly? How do we do it in the most tax efficient manner? And one that's going to benefit not only the owner, but also the technician who wants to become an owner.
Yep. And again, we can do, get you in Back Bay and connect you with technicians.
Yeah.
Now it's a win for everybody, I think. And that excites me.
That's great. So I know we're getting close on time, Jason, but I
Yeah.
know we talked about you had some exciting ideas for the future, different things like live events, user-driven learning. We've talked a little bit about that. I even had my notes here, even a technical cruise.
Yeah.
So, what's your biggest vision for where Collision Pro Assist and the Back Bay community are heading?
Yeah, I first started saying that, a technician only crew is kind of in jest. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, why not? Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
I get it. I think with all the opportunities that you and I have had and others have had, with great speakers and great meals and entertainment and fun, going to Top Golf, and we've had those opportunities. I want to share some of those experiences with technicians, and I want to have a technician conference where we can have speakers come in, still have a little education in there, but also have a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and kick back and thank our technicians for the job that they've done and for what they do for all of us on a daily basis. And
Right.
and just keep giving back to them because if we can keep them happy and we can also make the industry more attractive. We talk about the challenge of getting new technicians in here. Well, oftentimes we're not a very attractive industry. We don't treat each other very well oftentimes. We've got technicians that do go on social media and ask questions. They get beat up on there. So like, why would I want to get into this industry? And I want it to be something where they go like, you know what? I could see me being in this because there is support, there is a community. The Discord, I chose Discord because it is a little bit, it's focused on a younger generation. I'm trying to target I certainly welcome everybody, but I'm trying to target, an 18 or early 30s kind of
Right,
demographic, so that
right.
is more comfortable being online, being on social channels, being in Discord. 40% of 18 to 30-year-olds are in Discord today, so a lot of them are already in there doing gaming stuff or maybe some crypto research or something as well.
Right.
So even the platform itself, I think, is more tailored to attracting the next generation. And the more tools and equipment and the more things that we can add to Back Bay that is attractive to our younger generation, I think the more attractive the industry becomes and the more say that they have in their futures. And so when I do say about a cruise and I do say about having a technician event, I think that we can make that happen. I really do.
I don't disagree. It was interesting. What was it, about 2 years ago? I'd started a mastermind with some different industry people and from different fields within the industry. And they loved the format so much. And they were like, wouldn't it be cool if we could offer this to shop owners? So we started this thing and I said, can we make it like a cocktail hour? And they were like, what? I said, we go to these shows, we go to, the conferences, you sit through all these breakout sessions, your mind's like blown because of all the information you have. And then what happens? Everybody goes to the cocktail hour afterwards. And I said, and that's where the magic happens because now you get a cocktail in you, you're relaxed, and now you're talking amongst your peers or
Mhm.
maybe some of the presenters that are out there. And that's really where I think it starts to sink in. And I think it's a great idea to be
Yeah.
able to have those type of live events where, I mean, you can even go deeper.
Yeah. And I think it'll also help us identify the next generation of leaders. Not too long ago, I was just thinking about back in the day when I first started in the industry. There were the pups, there were a group of shop owners' sons that were there, and they were known as the pups, Suklas and Dan Risley and that whole crew. And I was thinking, like, who are the next pups, right? Who are the next people that are going to be the industry leaders that are going to be on the stage at CIC welcoming anybody? They're going to be the next, president of SCRS, and that are going
Right.
to be the next organizers of big events. And I go to CAC, I go to SEMA, and I see the same people. I'm
Yeah.
not seeing the next generation of leaders,
Right.
and I think that we can make the industry more attractive and do a lot of things to change the industry and start to identify that next generation of great leaders.
Yeah, and I want to say this to any technicians that are hearing this or thinking maybe someday you want to become an owner. I really believe that now and the next 10 years are going to be some of the greatest time in this industry to have an independent shop because, it's kind of like I always use the hardware analogy. We have in my little town here, Johnstown, Pennsylvania, we've got a Lowe's and we got a Home Depot, and then we got Bentley Hardware. And Bentley Hardware is the third generation family owned hardware store. It's the old school. You walk in, they greet you at the door. What can I help you with? You can explain what's being done. It's very personalized service. It costs a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right. But to me, I'm supporting local business. All
Yep.
right. And second, I'm getting personalized service. And I
Yeah.
can really see the collision industry working in that direction. There's going to be some changes. I think, we're going to have to become, more specialized. We're going to have to, maybe a few certifications this is what we focus on.
Hmm.
But I think we can increase the ROI and the ROI per job by just doing some of these things. So I really think that now is the greatest time to be able to be in this industry and especially as an independent owner.
Yeah, and the younger generation, I think, is also more inclined, I think, to support the local business
Yeah.
rather than corporate America. Not to go down like a political path at
No,
all,
no, no,
certainly,
no. I'm
but
with you.
but I
Yeah.
think the younger generation in large is more homegrown and more like I want to support my local community much more than the larger organizations that are out there.
Exactly. So, Jason, we're going to put all of your contact information in the show
Yeah.
notes, but you just want to let people know how they can get hold of you either through
Yeah.
Collision Pro Assist or the Back Bay community.
Yeah, for sure. So my website is collisionproassist.com. And they can certainly email me at any time at just jason@collisionproassist.com, and I will get back to them as quick as I possibly can. And we get you in Zoom. And I do offer a free 7-day trial of Back Bay. No credit card required, so it's not one of those that like you get a free trial and then they automatically charge your credit card. This is a no, you don't have to put any credit card information. You just sign up through wap.com/collisionproassist, 7-day trial on there, or wap.com/Back Bay trial. Either of those will get you there, or from collisionproassist.com as well. Sign up for 7-day trial, get in there, take a look around, introduce yourself, say hello, and start asking a couple questions.
That's awesome. So if you have any questions for me or want to contact me to get a hold of Jason, you can just always go to my website, highliftfinancial.com, click on the Let's Talk button. I give everybody 30 minutes of my time, no free of charge. So, but anyway, Jason, I want to thank you again. This is just great information. I know we can go on and maybe down the road as things start to evolve, have you back on to talk about how Back Bay is evolving and some of the latest and greatest things that are going on with it.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it. And we'll get you on Back Bay, do some presentations for us too. Get those support those technicians' financial literacy.
Sounds good. And so the last thanks always goes to you, the audience. Thank you for listening to Your Business, Your Life with me, Matt DiFrancesco. If you've not subscribed to the podcast, please click the subscribe button below. That way, when a new episode hits, it's going to drop directly to your devices. We're on every major podcasting stage: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iHeart, you name it, Anchor. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a 5-star review. That way, again, we move up the charts and we get more great content like we have here with Jason out to more people. So again, I just want to thank Jason and thank you, the audience, and let's make today a great day. So take care and God bless. Hey, I really want to thank you for listening to the Your Business, Your Life podcast. If you want to be notified when new episodes become available, click the subscribe button below.
All information is obtained from sources deemed reliable but not guaranteed. No tax or legal advice is given nor intended. Content provided herein or on our website should not be construed as an offer for investment advice or for securities, insurance, or other investment products. Investments involve the risk of loss and are not guaranteed. Consult a qualified legal, tax, accounting, or financial professional before implementing any investments or strategy discussed here. High Lift Financial is a DBA for DiFrancesco Financial Concierge, LLC. Investment advisory services are provided through Cornerstone Planning Group, LLC, an independent advisory firm registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission.